Sam McKewon of the Omaha World-Herald. Good morning. Welcome back from Los Angeles.
Hey, thanks, guys. How are you?
Good. How was the Rose Bowl? Which the next time we all go out there, we'll be going to SoFi, maybe.
Yeah, it's still a classic, awesome venue that it's obviously weathered, but it's still pretty incredible, and yeah, can't complain one bit about the experience there. And you can just tell the players like it too.
Mm-hmm.
Especially to win there, I think is special, and I think a lot of those guys will always remember that. Not just because of Latif, but just the experience of going out there and playing there and saying you did it.
Yeah.
I think will be pretty cool. So yeah, nothing but high grades. USC was great last year too, but this time Nebraska came back with a win.
All right, this might be a loaded question. Nebraska's 7-3 into their final bye. They've won another road game. They're guaranteed a winning season. First time since 13-14, back-to-back winning seasons. But 28-21 at the Rose Bowl against that UCLA team. What did that mean for Nebraska football this late in 2025 to do that?
Yeah, I think it speaks to the thing that I saw is that last week, Matt Rule came to the podium on Monday and kind of gave a little speech at the beginning and talks about everybody kind of rallying around the situation. Obviously, it wasn't easy to lose Dylan Raiola for the rest of the season. And I just feel like the team actually carried out his vision to a T. Like they went out there and they rallied around TJ Latif, and everybody elevated their performance to make things easier for him. And then he matched what everyone else did by playing really well. And so, I don't think you could have a more successful week when you think about it from that perspective. UCLA is not very good, but winning on the road in the Big Ten is hard. Not everybody's able to do it. And so, and this is a UCLA team that beat Nebraska last year in Lincoln, and they weren't very good last year either. So this was a large moment, I think, for them to be able to say, at the beginning of the week, here's going to be the mission. This is what we're going to do. And then go out there and actually do it was pretty encouraging. And I'm guessing they're going to go into their bye week feeling like, yeah, you know what? This team is on the same page. It's flawed. It's not perfect, but it's on the same page. And that gives you confidence going into the final two games.
Through 10 games, rather, who has been this team's best transfer portal acquisition from last season heading into this season, in your opinion?
Andrew Marshall, I think, would be the one I'd pick. And maybe I'm missing somebody. Andrew Marshall or Isaiah Hunter.
Yep.
I think are number one and number two. Marshall has been very helpful to this team. I know that Isaiah has, gaudier stats, but let's be clear about Nebraska's pass defense. It's one of the best in the country. And they basically asked Andrew Marshall to come in and be the boundary corner. Like Sierra Wright's in the slot. And, Donovan Jones is on the other side. Andrew Marshall came in to be he's the guy. And so that's a hard responsibility to take on, and he's done that. And so I would say Marshall, then Hunter, and then, who's honestly exceeded my expectations, because I actually thought Marshall was going to be really good, would be Williams Nwaneri. I think he's got
a future.
He's above where I think maybe even they thought he was going to be. He's been good this year. He obviously needs, another year or two of seasoning, but that's that looks like a first or second day NFL pick to me in 2 years. So he's been really good. So I think that's probably where I would lay it out.
Hey, so let's say on that side of the ball, because it's a defense that hasn't given up over 400 yards in a game this year, but and like some of their metrics are very similar to last year, and you don't have Ty and you don't have Nash, but it's never like a great conversation about the defense of, man, why isn't there more pressure? Why isn't Butler more aggressive? Those kind of things. How come they can't get off the field in third down? Why can't they stop a running quarterback? And Nico is really good. I think he's really good.
Yeah.
But so what's the right conversation 10 games into the year about Nebraska's defense, Sam?
Well, I think Butler's done a heck of a job. I mean, obviously I covered the team But I think he's done a great job with this unit. I mean, it was young. Everybody knew it was. I think there was probably young, and there's other things going on, and they're banged up and other things. Got to get a little bit better at linebacker, I think. Although Shavers has had his moments this season, there was a narrative going into the season that honestly Matt Rule kind of set that he, in hindsight, I think he was trying to give his players confidence. In reality, I think there was, he can turn that element of his personality on a little bit. And it's like, I think they knew going into the season that stopping the run wasn't going to be easy. Mm-hmm. And it hasn't been. It's been hard. And that's okay. Like, it's okay to struggle at something when you're basically refreshing your entire defensive front. But I think Butler's done the things that they've asked him to do in terms of tightening things up and the back end. I think they've been a little bit better in red zone. I think they've limited almost all big passes, like almost all. It takes an incredible throw 2 different times by Mayaba against USC to hit a big throw. So Nebraska's doing the things that they want to be doing. Now I think they just need to get another year of seasoning and development. Everybody's got to gain about 5 pounds or 10 pounds, get a little bit more mass. And then they got to decide how they want to attack the transfer portal. Now, I'm going to give you my opinion. You can always go get corners and defensive backs in the transfer portal, and that can be very attractive because let's go, somebody might get hurt. Well, let's get another defensive back body. They got enough. They've got old guys and they've got young guys. And I think Sierra Wright is leaving, but no one else is. And so you don't need to go and get 3 corners. Just stand pat there and put your energy toward the position that needs it, which in my opinion is pass rusher, and maybe go out and find a 320-pound nose tackle. I think Elijah Judy's still going to be here next year. It's hard to know.
Jesus. Been here forever.
I think so.
He has been here forever.
Is he a Richard Senior? Is he? What is he?
Hold on, let's look this up. I thought
he's a Richard Junior. Right?
Yeah. He does have an extra year of eligibility or another year of eligibility.
Yeah. So he's probably coming back, but Judy is not. He's played well, but I think you need like a 6'2", 325-pound guy that could just kind of like a Nash that you just can't move. It isn't really about penetration, although Nash was pretty good at that. He was hard to move. And when you're not able to move that guy, somewhere in the ends, you can do some other things with your linebackers. And so I would like to see them go out and get a big guy and then an edge guy, unless they're when McGahee comes back, he's going to be great. He was hurt all year or whatever. I don't. McCullough's gone, and they need to get a little better there. So that's what I think of the defense.
Yep.
But again, I've seen this so many times, and this happens at other schools too, guys. There's a corner in there. This guy could come in and play in the nickel package. These guys, they love their 6 DB packages, and dime and nickel, and so all of a sudden, there's another defensive back on the roster. It'll happen. Mm-hmm. But I just don't think they have to get a bunch of DBs. I thought last year they had to get a couple. They had to go get a corner. They did that. I feel like they've got enough guys in the program. They have to trust that. Now, if they lose a bunch of guys in the portal, if Amari Sanders or some other people transfer out, well, that's a different story. But I don't think that's going to happen. I think they're going to keep a lot of those guys in the secondary who like Williams and they like Butler, and I think they're going to be in good shape there for a while. So now they have to stand pat back there, in my opinion, and get more up front.
Judy is out of eligibility, by
the way. Okay. Yeah. Sam, and he's been a good player, but they got to get, you got to get a big, stout, unmovable guy in there.
Sam, yesterday, if you were a Nebraska Cornhusker fan watching Matt Rule talk about money, I think you get fired up hearing that, right? And sure. Then he dropped a little tea leaf. It was very subtle when he goes, it was at the end, where he's talking about the schedules. Oh, I don't know the schedules and this and that. And then he brought up the fact that, when a coach gets fired, all those guys enter the transfer portal, but you can't bring them in for visits. And so that was another one where he kind of hinted at you, hey, we're already looking. We're already in contact. We already are searching for guys in the transfer portal. Obviously Matt Rule is the most important guy for Nebraska football. Could I convince you that the second most important guy right now is Pat Stewart?
You could. Yeah. You could convince me of that, Matt, if I thought that that's what he was. I mean, yes and no.
Okay.
Yeah. The guy at USC, that GM, he might even be more important than Lincoln Riley. But I'm going to have to see Pat Stewart do it the way that guy out there is doing it. That guy out there is their difference maker going forward. And I think USC is going to win enough games this year. They're going to probably go 9-3, 10-2. They're going to win enough games that Riley's going to come back. And I think everybody's going to get to be able to see what it looks like next year and the year after with him and with that GM. And I think they're going to turn into a powerhouse, guys. They're going to get really good really fast because of the level of players that they're trying to get there. I think Nebraska's got to work in that direction. I think Stewart's job is to assess the roster and to obviously assess players in the portal. But I want to see him be an acquisition wizard first, A, and B, you'd be hard pressed to tell me that Holgorsen wasn't number 2. Like so much of what they want to do is predicated on how he fits into the overall vision of that program. So like they want to play defense. That's a kind of a non-negotiable for Rule, except for maybe 1 or 2 years in the Big 12. So Holgorsen has to devise an offense that's not only good, but also plays to that strength. Because Dana Holgorsen could, if you said, hey, Dana, we need 38 today, he'd have a plan that could get you that. Now, you might give up 42 or 45, but he could do that. What they're doing right now is they're like, hey, listen, we need to limit the exposure of our defense. We know what we've got here. We know what we can get done. We need you on 3rd and 9 to run draw. And we need you to figure out a couple of plays that we know will be shot calls on the plus side of the field. And they were able to do that. The wheel route's a shot call. It's like we're gonna
More of those.
what you're trying to do is score a touchdown, and you're trying to get into the red zone and then engage your red zone offense. And so there's strategy around that, and they just did such a good job in that third quarter of like, okay, we're gonna get on the plus side and then we're gonna take our shot, and he had the right play ready to go. So like he's super important to their operation, and he's probably the primary reason Emmett Johnson's here. So I think Holgorsen's belief in Johnson came right at the right time and convinced him to come back, and so Holgorsen I think is number 2. We'll see with Pat Stewart. I don't know yet. I want to see what he's able to get done, and let's see what he has to say to the press when the time comes on signing day or during portal time or whatever it is.
What do you think the offense looks like at Penn State now that they've got a game with Latif? They've got a comfortability of his strengths. Now let's check off some more boxes against a Jim Knowles defense. What is next Saturday, whenever they play, from 11 a.m. to 11 p.m.? What does the offense in game 2 with Latif in charge, in your opinion, look like?
I think you're probably going to see them try to run the ball still and get downhill with Emmett Johnson and try to control the game and potentially accept that it's going to be a 17-16 or 20-17 kind of game. And Knowles' defense they have a weird situation because I think the intention, based on the reports that I've read out of Penn State, is they want whoever takes over the job to keep him as the coordinator. And so, obviously, they're coming along in attacking his scheme and how much they can get better in years 2, 3, or whatever. But they're still coming along in that. And so, I think Nebraska's got a fighting chance of winning out there. Can't turn it over. Weather dependent. Now, what I'll say is, I like their young quarterback. I think he's growing. And he will be in his 4th start by the time he plays Nebraska. And I thought he took a jump. Well, be in his 5th start. I thought he took a jump with this most recent game against Indiana. And then I think he'll probably take a jump again. And he'll probably take a jump again. So Nebraska's defense will have its hands full. And, when I say hands full, I mean, you don't want to give up 24 points.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what we're talking about now. Where this is NFL style football more than any other league, including the SEC. The SEC's got honestly more explosive offenses in some circumstances. So this is NFL style football, and where if you give up 24 points, you probably should expect to lose. So we'll see what happens.
Sam, you said in the beginning of the season that you felt like Nebraska was going to beat Iowa because it's time. It's just time for them to do it. Even with TJ Lateef now, the backup in at quarterback, do you believe that? And what do you think that says about the program?
I do. Yeah, nothing's really changed there. I think Iowa's a very good team, and we'll see how they do at USC. But yeah, I do. I mean, I don't think it has a lot to do with the quarterback. I don't think it has a lot to do with Dylan. I think it just has a lot to do with an understanding that if you're confident enough, and I think Nebraska is now confident enough to play in that game, that they're going to pour a lot of energy into it. And it's too bad that they only get a 6-day window to prepare for it, but like they're going to put a lot into that game, and they're going to prepare. I anticipate them being, very ready, and they probably thought about it up till now too. So I know how that game sits on the minds and hearts of some of the coaches too. And the last year's game, the year before, frankly, they should have won that one too, but whatever. Last year's game, I think really, really irks everybody because of what happened before the game. And then the weirdness that happened during the game with the punt and all that other stuff. So I do. I think it's time for Nebraska to get that thing done and cross it off. They're going to have a hard time winning at Penn State. I think they're still going to have a challenge there. That's a tough environment. It's a tough place to travel to. I know from firsthand experience, Nebraska's had some success there. I mean, they won in 11 and 13, but
Pat Smith,
weird circumstances in 2011 favored Nebraska considerably given when the game was played. But they have an opportunity to go out there. We'll see what happens. If they go 9-3. We're all going to Florida, and I think that's really good news.
We're going to Florida. We're going to Florida. Sam, we appreciate it. Thank you. Great stuff by your crew late night, and a lot of great content and fantastic work by your the Photogs as well. Thank you. Have a great week.
You're the man.
All
Go
right.
Bears.
Take care.